Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you clicking on that video as always. Today, my plan is to look at two fragrances that one would be considered a fantastic alternative to its more expensive counterpart. Both are super hyped fragrances. People that are passionate about fragrance, they'll look at one and say, this smells just like the other. You don't need to spend all this money to have that scent in your collection. So my goal with this video is to try to really dive into both fragrances. I've been testing both. I currently have the dry down on each hand, and I have spent the day with them to sort of give my thoughts and determine whether or not these truly are as similar as everyone makes them out to be. Is cheaper always better? I want to try to find that out in this video. So without further ado, let's get into the fragrances and let's see what I found out. So we are looking at two fragrances today. The first one being Cremo, Spice, and Black Vanilla. And the second being Viktor&Rolf's Spicebomb Extreme. Many times, if you're researching one, the other will come up. And that is a valid thing because they do smell similar to one another. But as I've said in the intro, I've spent all day with the two of these, and I've discovered differences, big differences between the two that I think matter, that I think might determine whether or not you buy one over the other and possibly spend more money to get the scent you're looking for, or less for that matter. Now, I will say, to most people, to the average person who's not as passionate about fragrance as we are, I'm assuming you are because you're watching this video, the differences might be minuscule and not really matter to that person. But to us, why is one so much cheaper than the other? So let's just get into it. I'm going to spray these on strip. As I said in the intro, I do have both on each hand, and I've been testing all day. I'm curious to try them off a strip because I'm curious to see if I pick up anything else different. So that's the Cremo. And let's get the Spicebomb. So the atomizer on the Spicebomb is far better than the Cremo. Really good atomizer, as a matter of fact. Cremo, Spicebomb. Okay, so since I've been spending all day with these, the differences sort of stand out to me pretty quickly. In the opening, the Cremo Spice and Black Vanilla has more of a sharper spice to me. And although it's not listed in the notes for Spicebomb Extreme that I could see, I do pick up a bit of a citrus, sort of bergamot, on the opening in this. I don't pick up any citrus or fruitiness or anything like that from the Cremo. Now, on skin, those differences are even more pronounced. So on my skin, this Cremo comes across way sharper, way more spicy. After a few minutes, the spice begins to amp up in Spicebomb Extreme, where in the Cremo, it stays pretty consistent with how it opens. I will say that in the Cremo, and lavender is not an official note in the Cremo. It is a note listed in the Spicebomb Extreme. There's absolutely lavender in Cremo Spice and Black Vanilla. There's more lavender in, at least to my nose. Now, keep in mind, this is all on my skin. This is my nose. You may get something different. Smell is extremely subjective. There is more lavender that I get. It's more pronounced. It's more aromatic in Cremo. What I get in Spicebomb Extreme that I do not get in Cremo, and this makes sense, is the Spicebomb DNA. And if you've smelled other Spicebombs, you've smelled the original Spicebomb, Spicebomb Infrared, for example, is one that I get that sort of original DNA from. It's hard to explain. It's hard to describe because it's unique to Spicebomb. If you smell all of those together, you're gonna pick up an underlying DNA to each one of those fragrances. And it's in this, obviously. It is not in the Cremo Spice and Black Vanilla. So that's something notable. It's, you know, you can smell them and pick up subtle things that are different, and that's one of them. And to me, that's not as subtle, but it's also not until you have them next to each other that you're going to notice it. So that's why it's not that much of a deal breaker for many that aren't sort of looking at these this closely. With that more pronounced lavender to me in the Cremo, it comes across as almost soapy to me. There's a soapy quality to the Cremo Spice and Black Vanilla. There's a lighter, more aromatic quality to it as well. The Spicebomb Extreme comes across as a bit more deep, a bit more resinous to me. That's part of that is because, and when I get into the dry down, I'll explain, but I also get amber from Spicebomb Extreme, which I do not get in the Cremo, which is significant because that sort of changes the entire dry down of the fragrance. So as far as the spice goes, I get more cardamom in the Cremo. In Spicebomb, I get more black pepper. That takes me to the vanilla. Now the vanilla is the same again on my skin as it is on the strip to my nose. The vanilla in the Cremo is more of a, almost, for a lack of a better term, like an additive, something that you would smell in it almost comes across as a coconut to me. Something that you would smell in like a shampoo or a suntan lotion, something like that. Where in the Spicebomb Extreme, it comes across as more of a boozy vanilla extract. It's a bit more syrupy, a bit more resinous. And I think part of that is because it does have a boozy element to it, but it has that amber, which is sort of making it a bit more resinous and sort of working well with that vanilla. Now, I should add at this point, I don't prefer one over the other. I think they're different enough, and I'll explain that in the end of the video, whereas they serve different purposes in your collection. They are not redundant, in my opinion. So let's talk about the dry down. With the Cremo, it's a bit more lavender heavy. So it's a bit more clean smelling. It's a bit more soapy smelling to me. The DNA that I spoke of with Spicebomb, that comes out even more pronounced in the dry down. So that is something that the Cremo does not have. The Cremo lacks, obviously, the DNA of the Spicebomb. In this, as I said, in the opening, it's noticeable, but even more so in the dry down. In the dry down as well, with the Spicebomb, I pick up more of that amber. It's more pronounced, and I don't get that from the Cremo. So these aren't bad things. It will lead me to my point where I think Cremo is more of a year-round scent than people give it credit for. I wouldn't say dead of summer. I would say absolutely springtime. I would say it fits a need for wearing something a little different that's not fresh and clean, aquatic. And as I said, the vanilla, it's not overly sweet. I actually get more sweetness from the Spicebomb than I do the Cremo. In the deep dry down of both, where I was getting more cardamom from the Cremo and more black pepper from the Spicebomb, I still get that cardamom, but there's a bit more black pepper now in the Cremo. One other notable thing that I noticed somewhere in the mid of the Spicebomb Extreme is that it absolutely has a hint of what comes across as a dry tobacco leaf. Now, I will say in some versions of the Cremo Spice and Black Vanilla, I've seen people talk about it on some of the groups. Apparently there's 3 versions of the Cremo. I can tell you that this version that I have here was purchased from Amazon. This was an Amazon order, and I have seen some differences, at least in the juice color. Some people will post pictures of their Cremo. Now, some of that might be just the photo, but I have seen it discussed where the juice color is much lighter in their bottle. As you can see in this one that I have, the juice color is orange. Yeah, so I guess there's a chance that you may get a different formulation. Again, I can't really speak to that. Now, as far as projection goes, these both project excellent, especially in the first couple hours. The Spicebomb Extreme seems to get stronger through that first hour and into the second. But the Cremo holds up just as well. Really great projection to the point where you could overspray both of these, absolutely. But with that being said, I think the Cremo is definitely more fitting to the cold weather along with Spicebomb Extreme, but the Cremo can also be worn in spring in some of those warmer days, 60-degree day. You could absolutely pull that off with no problem. Longevity, I get a bit more longevity from the Spicebomb Extreme. I get about 8 or 9 hours, where with the Cremo, I get about 7 or 8 hours of longevity. And they both do dry down to a skin scent. They will both last forever on clothes. So if you want to spray your clothes, you're probably going to smell like that for a couple days. Now, obviously, price is the biggest difference here. The Cremo, I think I spent 20 bucks on, 25, maybe the most. The Spicebomb Extreme I actually found at a Marshall's for $89, which is a good price. You're gonna pay that pretty much on discounters. Sometimes you can get it a bit lower if you get lucky, but for the most part, it's a really popular scent. Websites like Aura Fragrance, who normally have it a bit cheaper, are sold out of it always. So it's tough to get in those places. But the price difference is absolutely a significant one. If you don't own either one of these and you're not comparing the two next to each other, they are definitely very, very similar. So they're going to serve a similar purpose. They're going to scratch that itch, so to speak, for a spicy vanilla combo. But just know the differences that I talked about are to someone who's studying the fragrance and smelling it next to one another. Now, I will say for $20, the Cremo is fantastic. It's one of the best cheapies I own. It is incredible for the money. Doesn't smell cheap at all to me. But it's less deep. It's more aromatic. There's more lavender. It's a little bit more soapy. So it's a bit different. I wouldn't say it's Spicebomb Extreme Light. I wouldn't put it in those terms, but I like them both. And I think they both serve a purpose in a collection. So I don't feel that they are redundant at all, because especially where today's a bit of a warmer day and I'm testing them, I'm noticing the differences. The Spicebomb Extreme, more resinous, that amber, the tobacco leaf, less leaning to spring, obviously a winter scent, a winter banger in many people's opinions. The Cremo, a bit more aromatic, more lavender, more soapy clean. So those are the differences that I see. I really hope this video helps you if you've been looking at either fragrance, if you're looking to possibly spend a little less money on something that smells like Spicebomb Extreme. With that being said, I think Cremo stands on its own. If you're trying to choose one, hopefully this video is helping you make that decision. That's all I have today, guys. If you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, hit that bell notification so you are updated whenever I upload new content. But until then, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.